Tonight, Townsville battered by heavy rain.
Another riot at Cleveland Detention Centre.
Local students take a stand against bullying.
And Matt Bowen back in the country.
Across Townsville and North Queensland, with Rob Brough and Joanne Desmond, this is 7 Local News.
Good evening, thanks for joining us.
Good evening.
Townsville is being soaked by the most significant rainfall so far this wet season, closing numerous roads across the city. A major flood warning remains in place for the Bulleugh River, with more rain on the way.
Peak hour traffic in Townsville, and suddenly driving to work became a dice with danger as motorists risked flooded roads.
We've had 2 people this morning that made a conscious decision to go across, and they had to leave their cars in there.
The lower Bulleugh Bridge on the Brough highway was blocked before 8 a.m. Nearly 280 millimetres fell in the catchment as a monsoon system in the north combined with an inland trough.
As a result, we've got this very humid airflow down over the Townsville region and converging as well, so meaning lots of uprising air producing the heavier rainfall.
Suburbs were saturated. At least a dozen roads were cut. In Currajong, Hugh Street was awash, while Applin's Weir put on a show for those who braved the wet.
We've waited a long time for it and it's arrived. Well overdue, but worth waiting for.
Across the region, Mount Margaret topped the rainfall list. Yabulu came close, while outlying centres received only a fraction. Drought-stricken Charters Towers recorded around 14 mils.
Great for the people out west. Hopefully they're getting it out that way.
The rain has brought some relief to the region's water supply. Levels in the Ross River Dam surged almost 10% overnight. It now sits at around 50% capacity.
If we can get those dam levels back up again, then the risk of us having to pump from the Burdekin later in the year is negated.
Periods of rain are forecast again tomorrow.
Just to drive with a bit of common sense, slow down, lights on, and just be courteous to others because they're feeling the same as you are.
Claire Barnes, 7 News.
There are calls tonight for an immediate inquiry into security at the Cleveland Youth Detention Centre after youth staged another rooftop riot yesterday afternoon. A former guard says it's only a matter of time before a staff member or an inmate is seriously injured.
5 more teens have been charged over a fatal car crash that killed a Townsville mother last month. 18-year-old Nevada Seaton died when the car she was driving crashed at Cranbrook. 5 youths aged 12 to 15 have been charged over their involvement. 2 others were dealt with under the Youth Justice Act earlier this month. Police say investigations into the crash are now complete.
Police have charged a man whom they allege spent weeks being a menace on the roads between the Sunshine Coast and Cairns. Officers say the 17-year-old was driving without a licence while drunk and high on drugs. It's also alleged a 2-year-old boy was with the man when he was arrested for the second time.
The defence lawyer for former North Queensland cowboy Khalifa Phi Law has requested more time to talk to his client about assault charges. Phi Law allegedly king-hit a man outside a Townsville nightclub last year. The winger, who is now with the Gold Coast Titans, maintains he acted in self-defence. His lawyer told a Townsville court today he has been unable to talk to Phi Law, who's currently overseas. The matter has now been adjourned until next month. And a Townsville teen who stole a car with a baby inside has faced court today on fresh charges. Police allege the 18-year-old stole 2 more cars since the November incident. He's now been charged with stealing fuel while driving one of the stolen cars. It's alleged he stole more than $100 from service stations in Dirrigan and Cairns.
The Townsville High School is taking its anti-bullying message to the cyber world. The senior class created a video which captivates the dark side of bullying and a future without it.
Good on them. Well, local community groups have been urged to start pitching ideas for the city's Anzac Centenary celebrations. The state government is offering grants of up to $80,000. Today, a committee visited Townsville to brief locals on how to apply.
A local church group has answered the prayers of a farmer west of Townsville who's struggling to feed his cattle in the drought. Global Care Mackay has arranged for 95 bales of donated hay to head north as soon as possible.
And ahead in 7 local news tonight, the Crocs' Todd Blanchfield lines up with Townsville's Coast Guard.
And in Rewind, we have a look back at Cancer Council's Cover Up campaign.
You're watching 7 Local News. The region's councils are calling for residents to have their say on a joint plan to reduce waste. Townsville, Burdekin, Charters Towers and Hinchinbrook councils today launched their long-term plan to manage dumping in the 4 areas.
Skin cancer is one of the most common cancers in the world, and Queensland has the highest number of cases in Australia. The Cancer Council has long promoted the slip, slop and slap message to avoid the disease. Tonight, we look back at the history of its campaign.
Well, he may be a mad keen fisherman, but Townsville Crocs player Todd Blanchfield is a little less likely to get lost at sea after receiving membership to the Townsville Coast Guard today.
OK, no, Todd's not only after some sponsorship, but he's after something from the coach as well, mate.
Look, Brough, he wants the defensive assignment on former NBA star and Sydney King Sam Young. We'll have more next. And is this the man to fill the Cowboys' vacant fullback position? You're watching 7 Local News. Cowboys coach Paul Green hasn't ruled out signing a new player to replace fullback Lachlan Coote, but says he will weigh up internal options first. A handful of contenders have surfaced ahead of the club's final trial in Toowoomba against the Titans. A team will be named tomorrow. Croc Todd Blanchfield is hoping to get the nod from coach Sean Dennis and guard Sydney King superstar Sam Young on Friday night. Blanchfield was key to keeping Perth's James Ennis quiet and says Young requires similar treatment. And the Northern Fury have claimed their first win of the pre-season, defeating Townsville premiers the Burdekin. Jake Perry broke the 2-all deadlock with a solid strike from the corner late in the contest, and the Fury play another local trial this weekend. Names like Santo, Wright, Morgan. We'll see what Paul Green's got up his sleeve tomorrow for the Cowboys.
I might just throw Josh Hoffman's name into the hat, mate.
Well, he wants out of the Broncos, doesn't he?
I wonder if they're having a chat.
We'll see, yeah.
Good on you, mate.
All right, we'll stay with us after the break. Livio has all the weather details for us.
Good evening, Livio Regano with tonight's weather. An action-packed 24 hours across Queensland with extreme humidity flooding into the state from the crippling north wind. Deluges of monsoonal rain have flooded much of the tropics, and big storms are building further south as well. Exceptional rainfall overnight. Yabulu 241 millimetres. Townsville 156, that's at the airport. Paluma had 139. Home Hill in the Burdekin had 63 mils. A sleepless night for those without aircon, high humidity with minimum temps in the mid-20s, even away from the coast. The range in Townsville was 24 to 27. Out of the satellite loop, you can see monsoonal cloud is covering the northern half of the state. Some intense falls right through the Herbert Burdekin and up into the north tropical coast. Some reasonable rain down the central coast as well, less so in the southeast, but by later this weekend we can expect a few storms there as well. In fact, inland, they're already starting to build. Now, on today's chart, we have not just a normal inland trough, and of course the one that we have here is causing this. You can see the wind flow. It's just driving in from the north, bringing just tons and tons of humidity right across into Queensland. And the lift is being assisted by an upper-level trough, producing widespread, slow ascent of air, and that's really generating very heavy falls, at least in the tropics. On tomorrow's chart, the trough gets a little bit closer. The upper-level system stays intact, so there's a good chance of heavy rain again through the Herbert Burdekin and the north tropical coast, and to a lesser extent around the central coast. And on the outlook chart, as the trough gets very close to southeast Queensland, it results in a wind change, but it won't come through until Friday, and on that change we'll see storms right down through to the southeast. Now to the Bureau's official forecasts. In coastal waters from Cardwell to Bowen, tomorrow's winds northeasterly 15 to 20 knots, 1.5 metre seas. On Thursday, straight northerly 10 to 15, tending northeasterly on Friday. Now, tides for tomorrow should peak any time between late morning and lunchtime, depending on the port, with the low expected around sundown. The Herbert and Lower Burdekin, we've got rain areas tomorrow with isolated thunderstorms. On Thursday, showers and storms, and on Friday, still no change. And the northern Goldfields and upper Flinders, rain and storms once again, but heavy falls are possible in the south, and still the same sort of thing for Thursday and Friday. Temperatures for tomorrow, Townsville 25 to 28 degrees. Air also 28, that's because of cloud. Ingham 25. Charters Towers expecting 27. Townsville city forecast, southeasterly change this weekend, should cool things down a touch and replace the storms with garden variety showers. Plenty more happening out there on the weather front this week, so stay tuned and be watching 7 Local News again tomorrow night. Same time. I'll leave you now in the very good hands of our news team.
Lovely, thanks for that, Livio. And that's 7 Local News for this Tuesday. Thanks for your company.
And of course, our email, localnews@7.com.au, or you can follow us on Facebook. And we look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Good night.
Good night.